chainsaw kind of grabs onto his arm. I could use other types of motions that would capitalize on it. Example, I might hear spread open kick, plant trap and hit. You see I trapped his foot, make sure he doesn't kick me on the way down. So what I did here is spread him open and kind of held on and then kicked him. Then I fell into my punch while checking the foot. Another possibility from the quack-sow position is to spread him open here, headbutt, and then hit him. Now what I did here is spread the hands open, wham, headbutt, then finish with the hit. Now you have to be careful when you do that, because if Gavin tried that on me from position here, I might use my shoulder to stop him there. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Toi Ma, which is the slide back pivot or the retreat of Wing Chun. It's not exactly a total retreat, because as you swing back, you're getting power through the pivot. You're sliding the foot backwards and then pivoting, giving you power into your technique. So I could slide back and do a yin block. I could slide back and do a yang block. I could slide back and do a yin-yang block. Or I could slide back and do a complex attack, or any one of those type of things. So there's an exercise that we can do called Munsao, which helps us develop that Toi Ma footwork. Now, in a situation here, if Gavin had done Pak Punch and I did not use Toi Ma footwork, no matter how well my block is structured, I might be a little cramped in trying to block. So what Toi Ma footwork does is it allows me to have more room, it gives me more power, and at the same time gives me more time. So this is what we would do, practice moving backwards into our block. Now, switching sides, I could do the same thing with Jam Sao as the block. Or again, switching sides, I could do the same thing with Bong Sao as a block. And each time I'm pivoting into the motion. Or again, switching sides with Fuk Sao as the block. Now, again, what I could do is add follow-ups. So where I was just doing Pak before, I could follow up. So in other words, how fast can I come back and hit my opponent? Or if we wanted to go back into Jam, I could Jam here. How fast can I come back with some sort of an attack? Or from Bong Sao, I could go in, Bong, and then again, how fast can I get back and hit him? Or again, from Fuk Sao, I could go here, and how fast could I get back to attack him? All right, next I'm going to talk about the circle side kick here. So what I do is I actually, from position, look back, circle my foot, kick slightly behind me, and then land. So I kick to the original center line, the place that I was first aiming all my punches at before I started walking around. So I go behind me, circle kick, and then come down. Now the way I use the circle kick, well, there's a couple of ways. First of all, say we were just closed like this. It's a little bit difficult for me to just come right in and kick Gavin in the body because his arm is in the way and stuff. So sometimes I'll circle out and around to kick from an oblique angle. In other words, by stepping here, I kick him from an angle that he's not used to being kicked at. That must have hurt, sorry. Okay, another time I like to use the circle side kick is when a guy telegraphs a big punch. Sometimes guys will chamber and then throw that big punch at you. So as soon as that thing gets chambered, wham, I catch him with the circle side kick. So what I do is I lean back and then wham. Now the circle sort of helped me take up the distance, us being this close. If I just try to lift my foot straight up, I might run into his leg, or I might have trouble getting any real power because his body's in the way. So the circle helped me chamber. Now the same thing, I got to do this one slow. If Gavin was going to go round kick me in the spine, like that, that's a time when I use a circle side kick up underneath to the groin to stop that kick. All right, next I'm going to talk about the second circle side kick. This one circles around and kicks in front of you before landing. So whereas the first one kind of kicked behind you, the second one kicks right in front of you, and that's important. We'll talk about this part later. Now that second one circles out and around an obstacle. Now here's an important thing. If we were closed, for example, and I had worked my way in with whatever technique, and I was shin to shin with Gavin here, this is the time when I couldn't just pick up my foot and side kick because his leg's in the way. So this is the time when I have to circle to kick. Now another chance for that same move, if I had swept first, I can't just pick up my foot because his leg's in the way. So that's the time when I have to circle side kick. So no matter what the technique that got me in, sweep, circle side kick stomps him down. All right, I also use circle side kick quite a bit when I do what's called Chi Gyuk, or sticky foot. Now in situations where our arms are locked up here and our legs are touching, what I like to do is circle around that leg to a side kick. So in this situation, circle around, kick. If I was on the inside, I could circle around, kick. If the other leg of his was up, I could go circle around, kick. Or if I was on the inside, outside here, circle around and kick. So I use it in that way. Another time, if we're closed, and Gavin was going to, say, kick his front leg to my front leg, there. Sometimes what I'll do is circle side kick to the base leg. So my leg's not there anymore for him to kick. All right, now I want to talk about the way I land. After the circle side kick, I land in the gum sow. Now you notice that the leg that kicked is not the side that does gum. The non-kicking side was the one that did gum sow on the way down. Now there's a reason for that. This introduces us to what I call plant trap hit. Put your foot down while trapping and hitting. Well, in a position where you've kicked, say for example, I did a kick to his knee. What in general I want to do is I want to trap with the non-kicking side. Why? Because the kicking side is the descending side. It has more power on the way down that I can put into a strike. So, unless the situation calls for it, why would I want to sort of waste that descending momentum on the trap and not have it in the punch? So in general, anytime when you kick here, you normally want to hit with the side that's falling. And that's what they're telling you. After having kicked, trap on the way down, use your descending momentum into the hit. Use the non-kicking side for trapping. Okay, next I'm going to talk about taikun, the raising punch. Gum, taikun. Now you notice that this gum saw has a bent elbow. That's to act as a shock absorber. Then you raise straight up to the punch. And again, here, and you put up your hand to protect. This is showing you to guard your face. When your other hand is doing something, if this hand doesn't have anything else to do, it should be protecting your face. It's like a tennis player playing in the middle of the court. Now, after you finish the gum saw, you raise up to the punch. Straight. You don't sort of retract your fist first. Now that's used here. Let's say we're open and Gavin does a punch low to my body. Once I've done gum saw here, what I don't want to do is retract, because if I do, that other hand is probably going to hit me while I'm preparing. So instead, after this, I want to go straight up to the punch. That's called taikun, or raising punch. The low punch again, here, and then up. Now the reason I keep my elbow bent here is it acts like a shock absorber. That's especially important, like if it was that knee coming in, because you need some power to stop that knee. You're not going to be able to stop it. If you straighten your arm and that knee is powerful, you're going to get launched because you don't have anything to absorb that knee power. If your arm is locked, it's going to lock your bone structure and lift you. So you don't want that. What you want instead is to be able to let that elbow absorb some of it. Now even in that situation, after having done that, you could still do your raising punch. So anytime your hand is low in Wing Chun, even if this punch was down low, if that hand was down low like that and another hook came, I could still use a raising punch there. Anytime your hand is on the low line, don't waste time retracting your fist. Go straight up to the hit. All right, next I'm going to talk about gum jiang, which is also known as Jun Bak. Now in Siulim Tao I talked about gum jiang and I showed some of the applications, but it becomes a little bit more clear now with the pivot behind it. This also is called Jun Bak, which is turning shoulder. So you remember at Siulim Tao level, I talked about some of the different ways we use gum jiang. One would be if Gavin had punched me and I pivot bong, then I could use that gum jiang to strike down as a cut. You remember also that if he bonged against my punch, then I could use gum jiang as a leak through. And you remember that also if he tried to chop me here, I could use gum jiang as a break. So those are some of the different ways I use it. Now all those use the front shoulder. Remember I showed you an emergency block and some other things I don't want to repeat. Also, as I mentioned briefly earlier, if Gavin tries to do the headbutt from the kwak sao, wham, you can use your shoulder to block that as well. Okay, next I'm going to go with the lap sao loi fan kun. So you notice that from position here, I grab and circle through to the punch. So my hands do a little circle. Now in the next movement, it goes straight. So in the form, after the 3 gum jiang, I go circle, hit, and then pull hit. Now first of all, just that circle hit in itself. Remember we had bong sao earlier in the form pivoted? Now if you add this, there's your lap sao cycle. Remember we were showing that earlier. From position, the lap sao cycle is here. And there's a lot of different combinations that we go through. The fan sao switch, Jan switch, the Busao switch, the Gumsao switch, the Paksao switch, and some others. So that's the root of the Lapsao cycle right there, because we had the two elements, the bong and the lap hit. Now you notice that in the form, the first one from here, circled and hit. The second one, straight and hit. Now that's important, because in application, the time you circle is when there's something in the way. Example, when he punched and I did bong, I can't go straight in to punch. I have to circle because there's something in the way. But now, there's nothing in the way. So to follow the form, here, circle punch, straight into punch. Now if Gavin had blocked the punch, here, blocked, straight into punch, straight out of the form. Or if Gavin tried to punch again after I hit him, straight into punch. So there's a couple of ways to use the move straight out of the form. All right, next I'm going to talk more about the jut da, or jut punch, and then finishing with the next punch. Another way we might use the jut shao strike there would be in sticky hands. If, from this position here, Gavin decided to step in and palm strike my chest to try to collapse my structure, that's a time when I might want to use that. So as he comes in, jut, there's the jut shao. Now at the same time, I could apply that same punch here. Well, in this case, I used the palm strike because my hand was already open, but I could have just as easily punched. And then again, pull punch, straight out of the form. So I could use it in that manner. Anytime in sticky hands, when you want to just pull the guy into a strike and follow up with another strike, you're using that same kind of idea. Now that finishes up my explanation of the Chim Kiu form. In the next tape, I'll be talking about Buji.